let's talk a little bit about the Shostakovich Concerto that you'll be performing here. Maybe I'll just share that when I first contacted you about coming back to Marin, I had several pieces in mind. And before there was any discussion of any other pieces, the word that came back was yes, I'd be happy to come to Marin to play Shostakovich's first concerto. So clearly that was the piece that was going to be a fit for you. Maybe tell us why that is. Maybe it's the
Yeah.
timing or the piece
hmm
itself. What else is going on in your life?
Yeah. Well, first of all, it's a piece that I have played before, but it's something that I'm also very keen on diving deeper into, and I love the work. And it also happened to be something that I'm playing around the same time. And so, for instance, the in June, I'll be playing it with the Grant Park Music Festival in
Mhm.
Chicago. And so that was also a consideration for me that, it's if I have the luxury of being able to suggest a piece or ask about a piece of repertoire, for me, it's wonderful if I can focus on particular works for a larger period of time,
Sure.
as opposed to, I mean, I often am switching week to week, which is also completely fine too. But I enjoy being able to kind of, if I get to do it a few times in a row, I can go even deeper and sort of stay with the piece in a little bit of a longer time frame. Um, yeah, so those were basically the reasons. I mean, that I love the work, and also I knew I'd be playing it around that time, so it seemed
Sure.
like something at least asking if it fits. And typically, as you mentioned, this is my second time working with the Marin Symphony, so it's in those occasions that there's more opportunity to have the conversation about repertoire than oftentimes, if I'm invited for the first time, it's the piece is clear and I kind of just happily accept what people suggest. But I was very grateful that you all were open to having a conversation about it.
Oh, more than open to it. Maybe you could talk a little bit about the piece itself, your connection with it. I know this is a piece that is legendarily difficult, if that's a word,
Mhm.
but so much more. Work with an interesting history. What thoughts do you have about that work?
Yeah, well, it's a sort of a singular work for cello. I mean, of course, we have the second concerto by Shostakovich, which has a very different. That one is in a way much more expansive in its feeling. This piece, I think, has a very distilled and intense quality, and a lot of energy that's kind of wound up and wrapped into a very tight form. It's very efficiently written, very direct in a way. The first movement is a very interesting combination between, on the one hand, being very persistent and intense and focused, but also maybe containing another dimension of something slightly humorous at the same time. So it's like you can tell that there's maybe a lot of underlying tension and a lot of energy, but you don't know exactly where that where the rabbit hole goes in a way. It's like you feel as if there's something under the surface that you've yet to discover. Like where's this music coming from? Where's this idea coming from? And then in the second movement, that's where Shostakovich really introduces this more lyrical and kind of elegiac quality, very personal, very mournful, but in a sort of post-traumatic, mournful atmosphere. So it's a little bit numb while being very intense. So I would say the something in general about the piece is that it contains juxtapositions, emotional juxtapositions, which make it so successful and make it so interesting. And that second movement also contains a lot of folk elements that you'll hear. influences in that sense. And it builds and builds and builds into a big outburst involving the entire orchestra, like an outcrying of music. And then from that point dissolves into what is also very particular about this concerto. The third movement is just a solo cello cadenza, which is quite extended.
That's remarkable. I don't think there's anything else like it.
Yeah, and so I mean, he has that. For instance, in the violin concerto, you can also see that, but it's like the protagonist is dropped into the void. Like protagonist being the solo cello, let's say,
Yes.
is in the void at that point, and that's when it starts in this third movement, which is all solo cello. It's very inward at first and kind of explorative, but then has like a very gradual and long buildup of tension and energy, which is for my point of view as a performer very difficult. One of the big challenges of the piece is gauging that and kind of controlling that buildup, which eventually propels propels all of us into the last movement, which is really very, yeah, very crazy, very virtuosic, um, and kind of anything that you sensed in the first movement. Like I said, this underlying fire completely explodes at that point, and it's sort of like a big release to the end, and it's a very exciting piece. I mean, to play it, it feels really like a journey,
Yeah.
and that's something that I really love about it. Particularly this third movement, cello cadenza, into the last movement. There's no pause or break there. I mean, also the second movement does lead in to the third as well, but really like the halfway point where you're left alone from the beginning of that third movement cadenza to the end of the piece is like this gradual increase of more and more intensity, and it's something I think super exciting to play, but also for the audience really quite thrilling. So yeah, that's kind of what I would have to say about the piece overall and the experience of it.
Well, hearing you talk about it makes me even more excited to hear you come here and play it in just a few weeks. So thanks
Thank
for
you.
taking a few minutes with us this morning and looking forward to seeing you very soon.
It's a pleasure. Yeah, thanks so much.